The court is now back in session. Before the chamber hands over the floor to the co-prosecutors to resume its presentation on key documents, the chamber would like to issue a ruling in relation to document E319/33.3.4. On 11 November 2015, the Chamber was seized of a request by the OCP to admit a number of documents E319/36. This request includes document E319/33.3.4, which the OCP has indicated it would like to use during the key document presentation hearing today, 23rd February 2016. Having heard the submission and responses by the parties on the 1st and 11 December 2015 on E319/36, the Chamber decides to admit document E319/33.3.4 into evidence with reasons to follow. Now the floor is given to the OCP to resume its presentation on the key documents in relation to the treatment of targeted groups. You may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was about to provide some examples from the documentary evidence and materials of what happened to Cham who resisted. You've heard testimony, obviously, about Gopal and Svai Kling, so I won't touch upon those. But let me give you four other references. Document E3/178. E3/178 is a weekly report from the Sector 5 Committee dated 21 May 1977. Sector 5 was part of the Northwest Zone and included the districts that today form Banteay Meanchey Province. And at Khmer 00275-588, English 00342-709, French 00623-305-06, the report states, I quote, "The 17 April elements from Phnom Penh who were Cham nationals conducted a protest in the common kitchen of the cooperative concerning their belief in what they eat according to their religion by pointing at and referring to Article 10 of the Constitution. For this situation, we have taken special measures. That is, look for their string, look for the head of their movement in order to sweep clean," end of quote. There's also document E3/7145A. This is a complaint filed with the court by a Cham who lived in Stung Trong district in Kampong Cham province during the regime. He states, quote, "One evening, the Khmer Rouge took my cousin, his wife, and a daughter to be killed on the accusation of secretly praying to God. And one day, when I refused to eat pork, the chief of the village ordered me to kill a pig and threatened me that I would be killed if I did not." Ben Kiernan writes about the experience of Cham in Kruchi province, Autonomous Sector 105. This is in E3/1593, the Pol Pot regime, Khmer 00637-788 through 89, English 0115-0144, and French 00 639048. Kiernan writes, quote, a Khmer who lived there, referring to Kretchi, comments that the CPK wanted the Cham and Chinese to become Khmers. In 1977, Cham in Sambor openly rejected pork, knowing that this would mean eventual execution. Their fate is unknown, but in Snool district, where Chams were also forced to eat pork, a family of 8 who refused to do so were all executed in 1977. And a fourth example on this subject comes from OCIJ statement E3/9672 at answer 47. This was a Cham woman who lived in Bakan district, Pursat province, who provides the following account of what took place at a self-criticism meeting when she said she could not eat pork. I quote, "We were convened to the self-criticism meetings where we were present until 2200. During the meetings, I was asked why I could not eat pork. I replied that I could not. I was asked to choose between a bullet and pork. This meant I had to eat pork like the other people." End of quote. Your Honors, I now want to turn to some documents, evidence of mass killings of the Cham by the Khmer Rouge. In particular, one of the issues that has arisen in this trial segment is whether killings were limited to Cham people who were so-called bad elements, or whether executions were of entire Cham families and communities. And I will present some evidence on this from various regions, starting with the specific districts that are the subject of the genocide charges. Krochmar district, part of Sector 21 of the East Zone. And in Issa Osman's book, The Cham Rebellion, there are additional interviews of at least 3 other witnesses regarding the Tria Village killings that corroborate the testimony you have heard in court from Nosata and Ahmad Sophia. You'll find those at Khmer 00904-387 through 393, English 00219-198 through 202, and French, I believe, only for the third individual at 00943-983. Each of these people, women, talk about being taken into custody by District Chief Ho, being asked whether they were Cham, and those who indicated they were Cham being taken away. Ben Kiernan also had some research relating to killings of entire Cham families in Sector 24 of the East Zone, which began when the Southwest Zone cadres took over that region. And these references from E3-1593 are at Khmer 00637-785 through 86, English 0115-0143 through 44, French 00639-045 through 46. Kiernan writes, quote, "Region 24 came under the firm control of MOC's Southwest Zone forces. whom Ismail contrasts with Sao Pim. And he quotes here from an interview of Haji Ismail. Sao Pim was not responsible for much persecution or killing. Pol Pot and the Southwest Zone were killers. He then continues to reference an ethnic Chinese from Region 24 who recalls Chams living near his village until the Southwest takeover and stated, "They were killed in 1977, a family of 8 people. I saw it. The Khmer Rouge said the Cham were not of Khmer nationality. They were an enemy nationality because they had rebelled in 1975. In regards to Kang Mia district, which was part of Sector 41 of the Central Zone, and this chamber, of course, has heard testimony of mass executions of all the Cham from Pim Chikong and Angkor Ban communes at the Wat Ochakon Pagoda. Here are a few additional references corroborating that testimony, and in particular relevant to the issue, showing that entire Cham families were arrested and killed, not merely individuals who were bad elements. E3/9654 is the OCIJ statement of another member of the Longsword Militia Group in Kang Mia district. At answers 12 to answer 13, this former militiaman contrasted arrests of new and base people who he testified were arrested, quote, when they committed wrongdoing or stole. He contrasts that to arrests of Cham, which he describes as follows, quote, the arrests of ethnic Cham people were a little bit different. All the people in each family were arrested at the same time, and immediately they were sent to Wat Ochakun. E3/9671 is the statement of a person who was detained at Wat Ochakun. At answer 13, this individual describes how on the day he was taken to Wat Ochakun, he saw 20 prisoners who were ethnic Cham being taken to be killed. Quote, those prisoners were both male and female, including children who were all ethnic Cham. End of quote. E3/9661 is a statement from a base person in Pim Chikong who witnessed a group of over 500 Cham men, women, and children being taken to Wat Ochakun, who were brought by boat, a boat he describes as like a large ferry. And the same witness also describes how on another occasion he was ordered himself by the cooperative deputy chief to transport to Wat Ochakun a Cham family, including the parents and a 10-year-old child. This is all in answer 9 of that statement. Ben Kiernan, Your Honors, provides us with some research as to the number of Cham who were killed in Kang Mia district. E3/1593 at Khmer 00637-789, English 0115-0145, and French 00639-049. Kiernan writes, quote, one Muslim leader says Chams died in the largest numbers in 6 or 7 sub-districts along the Mekong's north bank in Kampong Cham. Not a family survived, only 1 or 2 people. In 1940, the 380 Cham households in 3 riverside villages of Kangmia district had supported 2 Muslim schools with 50 students each. Normal population growth would have brought these communities to a total of about 1,200 families by 1975. Kampong Sim district, Your Honors, was adjacent to Kangmia district on the north side of the Mekong River, also part of Sector 41 of the Central Zone. I made some references during a testimony of a witness from this district to some materials from the Cham Rebellion and Ukaba about the numbers of Cham in that area, that there were thousands, many thousands of Cham who were killed. To Isa Osman's research, where he found in his list of 10 Cham villages where the population entirely disappeared, 5 of those 10 were from Kampong Sim. Let me give you a few more references to statements from people from Kampong Sim district, again, who witnessed mass arrests of entire Cham families in 1977 to 78, not merely individuals who were bad elements. E319/33.3.4, the document Your Honors just admitted, is an individual from Krala commune in Kampong Sim who describes how 100 Cham families were taken away from his village by ox cart in April 1978. That's at answer 26. And at answers 30 to 31, he gave the following evidence about what took place after that. Question: was there any meeting or announcement after they took the Cham away? Answer: yes. There was a big meeting attended by the children's unit, mobile unit, and the base people. I'm going to leave out the names of the people here and just indicate he refers to the district secretary as saying at this meeting, the Cham are the enemy of Angkar because they plan to rebel, so Angkar has to smash them. If any Cham remain, this must be reported so they can be swept clean, because this is the plan of upper echelon. The district chief continued, any base person hiding a Cham will also be considered an enemy. Question: did any Cham still live in your village after that? No, there were not. No Cham remained. End of quote. There are a number of other statements from witnesses in this district confirming that arrests were of entire families. E3 9657, a witness who talks about the arrests of the hundreds of Cham ethnics in Trapeung Rase village after they were all brought to a party that was called by the village chief. And the witness states, the next morning I observed that it was quiet in Trapeung Rase village, and all Cham ethnics, the old and the young, disappeared. Even a small child named Romas, whom I knew and used to play with, also disappeared. And the specific reference here, E3/9657 at answer 22. Similar evidence on the same village from in document E3/9663. Another commune in Kampong Sim district, Kauroka. There is a statement E3/9651, answers 5 in answers 7 through 8, in which the witness describes how Cham people were killed after the Southwest group arrived. He says there were many Cham in his village. They were all taken to be killed. The arrests were made many times, from 3 to 4 families at a time, until all were gone. And E3 9548 is the statement of a cadre who worked at the Krala commune office. In answer 11 of E3 9548, he states, quote, all the Cham Muslims in Kampansim district were arrested and executed right in the district. No Cham Muslim was spared except for Pia, a person who was defended by the district chief. The same witness in statement E3/9667, answers 20 through 23, states, the Cham were taken to be killed at the same time with the Lon Nol soldiers and officials. During the dry season in late 1977, I heard the district chief tell the commune chief, and again here I've left out the specific names, to check to see if any Cham remained or not. In district meetings, they said that the Cham were from a different religion and were not considered Khmer, so the Khmer Rouge feared that they would rebel later. End of quote. Your Honors, there is extensive research that was conducted by Ben Kiernan in his book when he goes through each zone providing evidence of what took place with the Cham. I won't go through that with you this morning in the interest of time. I will note that there is specific evidence relating to Chamkar Lu district, the district in which Ban Sik, alias Ho, had been deputy secretary before he was transferred to Cochamar, and the district in which Kai Pak's wife, Su Sun, was district chief. Some of that was previously referenced, but you'll also find some detailed accounts in Ben Kiernan's book, E3 1593, at English 0115 0146, Khmer 00637 792 through 93, French 00639 051 to 52. And I want to finish, Your Honors, with a statement from the late Chea Sim, who of course was a district secretary in the East Zone during the Democratic Kampuchea regime. He was interviewed by Ben Kiernan on the 3rd of December 1991. This is document E3/1568 at Khmer 00713 929 through 930, English 00651 868, French 00743336. And I quote from Ben Kiernan's interview. Question: what did Pol Pot say about the Cham people? Answer: at that time, the Cham people were considered as a minority among the various nationalities throughout Cambodia, like other various national groups, and they were all killed together. Whether the minority groups were Cham or other minorities, they were killed. The killings began before 1970, There were more and more after 1970. In 1975, they kept on increasing more and more. They were progressive. And there is an issue, Your Honors, about the next and last sentence in this statement that I want to raise with you. In the typed transcript that was prepared by court officials, not from the interview tapes, but from Kiernan's handwritten notes, the last sentence on this says, in 1973, this is referring to the killings of the Cham, they became, unclear Khmer words, it became an offensive. But if you look at Kiernan's original handwritten notes, and you'll find that E3/5593 at ERN 00419-375, the actual year appears to be 1978, which makes more sense because it follows the chronological order of the statement. And the Khmer word is legible. So if you look at the handwritten notes, they read, in 1978, referring to the killings of the Cham, they became klang, the Khmer word. It became an offensive. Now, because of this discrepancy, Your Honors, between the version that was typed from Kiernan's handwritten notes and what my reading of his notes, I would like to play the corresponding clip from the audio recording of the interview, Kiernan's interview of Che Sim. This is E3/2960R, E3/2960R at from 5756 to 5905 of that recording, so the court can hear for itself the words that were used by Che Sim. So with your leave, if I may request the audio, the AV booth to play this audio clip with the volume as loud as it can.
Yes, the chamber grants your request. Did Purpose speak about the Cham people? At that time, the Cham people were considered one of those ethnicities living in Cambodia. What about the other minorities? They were all killed, regardless whether they were the Cham ethnicity or other ethnicities. Question: did you know Pol Pot killed those people? Answer: there were killings before 1970s, and it also continued in the later part of 1970s. And more killings took place in 1975. And it became intensified in 1978 since it was campaigned.
Your Honors, I thank you for the time.
Judge Lavenge, you have the floor.
Oui, juste à titre.
Yes, for purposes of information, do we have a transcript of this interview? Because we are hearing a simultaneous interpretation, but it would be better to have a written transcript. And of course, the translation should be perfectly exact, accurate.
I think that's actually an excellent idea. What we have on the record are Kiernan's notes that he took during the interview, and someone has typed those notes. And as you just heard, the notes track fairly closely to the interview, but I do believe that that would be a good thing, and we will make a request that the actual interview tapes also be, someone listen to them and create a transcript from the audio tapes as well, since I think the existing record comes from Kiernan's notes. So we'll be happy to make that request, Judge Laverne. Thank you for the time, and I'm going to turn the floor now to my colleague, Mr. Smith, to talk about the Vietnamese.
Yes, and the Deputy Co-Prosecutor, Mr. William Smith, you have the floor.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honours. Good morning, Council. Your Honours, I'll be presenting some documents in relation to the targeting of the Vietnamese. There are many documents on the case file in relation to the targeting of the Vietnamese. So, in a short period of time, of course, we can't bring out all of those documents. But to highlight some of them, we have selected about 30 documents, and the documents will concentrate on the contemporaneous documents from the Communist Party of Kampuchea, and also on some expert opinions that have researched this issue. There are many written records of interview and complaints and civil party applications on the case file in relation to evidence of policy by the implementation of killings around the country of Vietnamese. I will not discuss those documents because of the time that we have, but I would prefer to concentrate on the contemporaneous documents. As an overarching idea, we submit that the documents being presented today all go towards proving aspects of the genocide charge against the Vietnamese, the crimes against humanity charge against the Vietnamese, and also grave breaches of the Geneva Conventions in relation to Vietnamese taken to S21 and Au Can Sang. So with that, Your Honours, I'll move into the first document, and I'll aim to go in a chronological order in terms of the incidents that occurred during the period. And the first document I refer to is a document that relates to an incident in April-May 1975. It's E3/7842, and the ERN is 00387429, that's English, Khmer 00791383, and French 00771176. This document relates to an interview given by a former Division 164 soldier who was working on the coastline to the US Department of Defense, and this occurred on the 7th of June 2005. And in discussing the incidents and the purges occurring that year in 1975, he states at paragraph 6, it's headed Capture of Other Boats. After the Source was stationed on Polo Waitemai Island in April-May 1975, his unit captured a boat carrying more than 10 Vietnamese refugees, including women and children. On the eastern side, the Source's unit housed and fed the Vietnamese near a concrete pier on the eastern side of Polo Waitemai Island for 2 or 3 days. After they captured the boat, the 408th Commander contacted Kampong Som for guidance on the disposition of the refugees. The High Command in Kompon Som ordered the commander to kill the refugees. The commander and his deputy carried out the order. Your Honour, this document goes to assist in proving that Vietnamese civilians were targeted in 1975, as early as that, for killing. Also, that orders to kill Vietnamese civilians were coming from high up in 1975. The next document I'd refer to is E3/759. It's a Revolutionary Flag Issue 4 of April 1976. And in that document, it includes a speech from the first anniversary of Democratic Kampuchea. And then it goes on to say, and I quote B, "The second result of national revolution. Our people are called the Kampuchean people. However, there were many foreigners, hundreds of thousands, and one type of foreigner that was strongly poisonous and dangerous to our people. These people have what is called a poisonous composition, since they came to wolf us down, came to nibble at us, came to swallow us, came to confiscate and take away everything, and came to endanger our nation and our people, and they have caused us to lose much territory in the past. Even recently, before we waged the war of national liberation, and during that 5-year period, some territory and some locations were 99% foreigner, meaning 99% of those districts were foreigners. We could not get inside there. These foreigners came to confiscate and to swallow. Traitors and exploiting classes inside the country sold land to foreigners, whole villages, sub-districts, districts, lakes and swamps, and let them be the complete masters." It goes on to say, "Within 20 years, these foreigners would certainly have increased to 10 million persons. It is this state that was swallowing and wolfing down our Kampuchean nation and people. That was the actual state of our country. However, our revolution in particular, on the 17th of April 1975, sorted this issue out cleanly and sorted it out entirely. We assume that we sorted it out permanently. For thousands of years, we were unable to resolve this issue and did not resolve it. In the exploiting classes did not only sort this out, they sold whole sections of land to these foreigners. Now we have sorted out this issue. Our revolutionary workers and our revolutionary peasants and our people, our revolutionary army, sorted this issue out completely and permanently. The dimensions of this victory are huge, very profound, very magnificent. Sorting this out was not easy. However, it was done by going along with the imperialists and by following proper methods, following our revolutionary principles. That is the great typhoon of national movement and the great typhoon of our democratic revolution swept hundreds of thousands of these foreigners clean and expelled them from our country, got them permanently out of our country. This is the great pride and full satisfaction of our entire people, our entire army and our entire party. Your Honours, we submit this document goes to prove the expulsion of Vietnamese, hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese from Cambodia in 1975. And it also, we submit, establishes that this population, this Vietnamese population that was expelled, were viewed as non-Kampuchean, as unwanted outsiders, as foreigners, and as enemies. Your Honours, the next document is E3/805. It's dated the 16th of December 1976. and it's a Division 920 meeting minutes. The meeting was about measures to cope with the Vietnamese. And I quote at English 0018 5237, Khmer 0005 2333, and French 0031 5067. Paragraph 1, quote, enemy situations. Internally, there have been no changes since the organisation decided there should be a purge. There was no guarantee that a regimental cadre named Ol, who had once been in a Vietnamese unit of organisation, lacked the spirit of responsibility and is in poor health, could serve the unit of the organisation. It was decided to gather in one place almost 100 persons who came out of the Vietnamese units of organisation. It goes on to state the internal situation, and I quote, problems inside units of organisation. On the matter of those who used to be with the Vietnamese, do not allow them to concentrate. They must be split up and sent to the carpenters and sent to be carpenters and water jar makers and the like, interspersed with forces belonging to us whose stance is solid. Your Honours, this document we submit assists in proving the CPK view that anyone associated with the Vietnamese couldn't be trusted and they had to be monitored and separated and closely watched. I now turn to the 19th of April 1977. That's E3/200. And this is a speech of Khieu Samphan at the second anniversary of Democratic Kampuchea. And here he spoke about the great achievements of the revolution, and he discussed the enemies of the CPK. At English 00004165, Khmer 0029 804 to 05, and French 0061 2166. I quote, immediately after liberation, when we suffered untold difficulties as we had just emerged from the devastating US imperialist war, the enemy failed to cause us any serious trouble. Today, the enemy certainly cannot do us any harm. This is our firm belief, stemming from concrete, practical evidence. However, we must carry on the task of defending our democratic Kampuchea, protecting our worker peasant administration, and preserving the fruits of the Cambodian revolution by resolutely suppressing all categories of enemies, preventing them from committing aggression, interference, and subversion against us. We must wipe out the enemy in our capacity as masters of the situation, following the lines of domestic policy, foreign policy, and military policy of our revolutionary organisation. Everything must be done neatly and thoroughly. We must not become absent-minded, careless, or forgetful because of past victories. On the contrary, we must further steel ourselves, remain alert, constantly maintain the spirit of revolutionary vigilance, and continue to fight and suppress all stripes of enemy at all times. Your Honours, we submit this speech was an indicator that the Communist Party of Kampuchea had a very broad category as to who was an enemy when Khieu Samphan said that all stripes, we must suppress all stripes of enemies. And we submit this document goes to support that anyone that was deemed to be an enemy would be killed. Now refer to April 1977 again, E3/742, and it's the special issue of the revolutionary flag. At English 0047-8495, Khmer 0006-2985, and at French 0049-9753. Actually, I have to repeat those ERN numbers, Your Honours. It's a different passage. So English 0047-8496, Khmer 0006-2986, and French 0049-9954. And I quote the revolutionary flag in April 1977. As for the enemies that are CIA, KGB and Yuan agents, the cheap running dogs of the enemy that are sneakily embedded inside our revolution and our revolutionary ranks, they are in a state of extreme loss of mastery because their major and intermediate apparatuses have fundamentally been smashed and the forces that remain have been fundamentally scattered, like rats being hit and falling from their nests into the water and being chased and struck by the people and annihilated. We must continue to strike them and trample them from our position of absolute advantage and must constantly be on the offensive against them during 1977 to smash them even more so they cannot raise their heads. By doing so, we will create the preconditions for us to attack the enemy even stronger during 1978 and in future years, and we will achieve additional major victories. Your Honour, this is evidence of a CPK directed killing campaign against Yuan agents and associates within Cambodia. In this message, the CPK compare Yuan agents to vermin, rats. They dehumanise the Vietnamese in that manner. If I now go to another passage in this magazine, English 0047-8500, Khmer 0006-2990-91, and French 0049-9757-58. Quote, past experience leads us to better understand and more clearly see that even though the internal and external enemies have been seriously defeated in the past, they have not forsaken their strategies of opposing our correct Kampuchea revolution. They, the CIA part, the KGB part, and the Yuan part, still strive to struggle free to continue their criminal activities. This is a view that we must be constantly clear on in order to have a high-level spirit of revolutionary vigilance to resist and eradicate the enemy in advance with constant mastery. And at 0047-8501 English, Khmer 0006-2991, and French 0049-9758, I quote, it's imperative to indoctrinate and whip up the masses into a force to seek out the enemy, assess the enemy, analyse the enemy, track the enemy, pressure the enemy, capture the enemy, to smash the enemy, and to make the enemy be like a rat surrounded by a crowd of people beating and smashing it. Your Honours, these passages dehumanise the Vietnamese. They create hysteria amongst the CPK forces, and it's a recognition that the Vietnamese are part of the enemy inside of Cambodia. And at English 0047-8502, Khmer 0006 2993 and French 0049 9759, I quote, "One very important issue that has to be concentrated on is clearly unmasking again and again the CIA and their agents, the KGB and their agents, the territory swallowing UN and their running dogs throughout the whole party, throughout the whole army and throughout the people, and attacking and breaking the enemy politically and preventing them forever from sneaking into our party, our army and our people. And as for the old roots, some of whom still remain after we have smashed them to bits, it's imperative to whip up the people to sweep more of them clean and make things permanently clean." And the last passage at English 0045 8506, Khmer 0006 2998, and at French 0047 9764, it's headed Instructions. Every base area and every unit must organise the study of this document. It is imperative to organise that study primarily collectively, then there must be additional study by group or individually. Your Honour, we submit this document goes to prove that CPK policy at the highest level was studied at the lowest level in Cambodia, and what was said was delivered to the rank and file CPK cadre, and assistance showing that the Vietnamese, not only outside of Cambodia but in Cambodia, were viewed as enemies. I now refer to April 1977, and it's E3/18, and it's Khieu Samphan's book in relation, entitled "Recent History and the Reasons Behind the Decision I Made." And it's in relation to attacks that occurred in Vietnam by the CPK forces as of about April 1977. And the purpose is to show that at that time the CPK were aggressively attacking and killing Vietnamese, regardless that it was outside of Cambodia. At English 0110 3759 to 60, Khmer 0010 3849 to 50, and French 0059 5446. Khieu Samphan states in his book, "This is how I learned of the Cambodian attacks on Tin Bien village in An Giang province. At the end of April 1977, the Vietnamese responded to these attacks using A-37 strike aircraft left by the Americans after the war. These counterattacks were followed by even bloodier Cambodian incursions at the end of September in Vietnamese villages in Tai Ninh and Hai Tieng provinces. Of course, any act of barbarism, from whatever side it comes, is loathsome and must be strongly condemned, and the events recounted are irrefutable. There is no doubt that the Khmer Rouge made forays into Vietnamese villages along the border, committing appalling crimes against Vietnamese civilians. When I learned of these medieval-type cruelties, I became quite despondent." The purpose of that document, Your Honours, is not to establish that attacks were carried out in Vietnam for its own sake, but to show the intent of the CPK to carry out crimes against Vietnamese civilians as opposed to Vietnamese combatants. And in support of this incident, or the way Khieu Samphan recounted the incident, I refer Your Honours to E3/7338, and it relates to this April 1977 incident, and it's from the Stephen Morris book, Why why Vietnam invaded Cambodia. And it's at English 01001765. There's no Khmer or no French translation, but we will ask for that to be obtained shortly. Now, if I just quote this passage from Stephen Morris. In April 1977, on the occasion of the second anniversary of the liberation of Phnom Penh, the government and government-controlled media in Hanoi offered congratulations and praise for the democratic Kampuchean regime. In its public gestures, the Vietnamese government showed no signs of tension or animosity towards its neighbour. Nhan Dan published a glowing account of a Vietnamese women's delegation that had recently returned from Cambodia. It stated, "The Cambodian people were enthusiastically embarking on irrigation work. Women are vigorously surging forward and joining men to become owners of the country. And Vietnamese party and state leaders sent a message congratulating their counterparts on the anniversary of their victory." But this goodwill gesture reaped no beneficial consequences for Vietnam. The Khmer Rouge deliberately chose the second anniversary of the Vietnamese communist conquest of South Vietnam to leave a truly bloody calling card. On April the 30th, 1977, Khmer Rouge units attacked several villages and towns in Ong Giang and Chau Doc provinces of southern Vietnam, burning houses and killing hundreds of civilians. The Vietnamese leaders were shocked by this unprovoked attack and could not understand any strategic rationale behind it. Nevertheless, they decided upon military retaliation. According to the Deputy Commander of Vietnam's Tay Ninh province, during April and May 1977, the Khmer Rouge forces had carried out systematic attacks upon Vietnamese border villages, making it impossible for Vietnamese peasants to work there. The Vietnamese side claimed that it then offered to settle the border question peacefully with the Khmer Rouge, but the offer was refused. According to the Vietnamese, the Khmer Rouge then concentrated up to 2 divisions on the border adjacent to Tay Ninh, and in the middle of May, those forces undertook massive attacks upon Vietnamese territory. Your Honour, the purpose of that document is to support the proposition or the facts that in April 1977, massive attacks were carried out by the CPK against civilians in Vietnam, showing that Vietnamese civilians, despite the fact that they're outside of the country, were viewed to be enemies of the CPK. Your Honour, if I can refer now to a record from the Tram Coc District, and this is a record still in April 1977 on the 26th, and it's E3/2435, and it's an instruction, a request from the Ang Ta Som commune chief to the Tram Coc district office, and it's at English 0032-2141, Khmer 0027-1001-02, and French 0061-2225. And it's headed Letter of Request for Opinion, addressed to the respected and beloved District Angkar organisation. And I quote, "Concerning the registration in the list of the Kampuchea Krom people, I would like to know as follows. There are husbands living in our Cambodian country who got married to wives from Yuan country, Vietnam, but some others are Yuan, Vietnamese husbands who got married to our Cambodian wives. Now, after we registered them in the list, they always come and request for authorization to go to Vietnam. If the Angkar allowed them, then they would go. If all of them were Yuan, we would send one of the families to the Angkar organisation. If it was like this, what would the anchor decide then? Please inform us. Your Honours, this is relevant to show that the Vietnamese civilians in Cambodia were targeted because of their race. And it's also assists in showing that pure Vietnamese families were targeted for killing. Your Honour, it's 11:30 now. I can continue or perhaps come back after lunch.
President, thank you, Deputy Co-Prosecutor. It is now convenient for our lunch break. We take the break now and resumed at 1:30 this afternoon. Security personnel, you are instructed to take Kielson Pawn through the waiting room downstairs and have him returned to attend the proceedings this afternoon. Before 1:30, the court is now in recess.
សូមអញ្ជើញក្រោកចូល